Yeah.
Welcome everybody to the Uniting Church Poetry Session, and it's today, of course, is the 11th, I think, isn't it, Michael? The 11th of May, and 10 days after May Day, and we've got a very interesting group. There's John, there's Maureen, there's me, Bill, and there's Michael in the background, who's a critic of poetry and will be joining in the discussion. So every Wednesday at 11 o'clock we meet here, and it's at the Uniting Church in Civic, and anybody who wants to come can come. And just go into the Uniting Church, ask for the poetry group around about 11 o'clock, and you will be more than welcome. I'll start off by reading a poem I wrote after an incident in Civic, very pleasant incident, more funny than threatening, about a man who everybody who's been in Civic would know, who writes poems and distributes poems and collects money for the poems. Rudy, might as well give his name away, but he's not he's not mentioned by name. And it's called Street Poet Meets Street Critic, and the critic is Stephen, who's an author and a very funny man. And here we go. Canberra has street people, free spirits, sustenance seeking, talkers, stalkers, angry souls who rant and spin tales tall and ask for coinage, small and large, to fund their varied needs. One poet sells rough written text based biblical, loose speaking. This man enticed a writer who paid and read them, then ripped and railed. This rubbish isn't worth a cent, and flipped $4 and got a grin of greed. Here we go, written yesterday, an incident in Civic. And it's Rudy who was quite pleased to get the money. You didn't worry too much about the quality of the poetry, and everybody was happy. And I think Stephen got a bit of a kick out of it too. Now everybody can give their responses. John, you liked it, you say?
Yeah, I like it, because it's from the street, about the street, and I am the street.
That's good. Maureen, what do you think?
Yeah.
As a poet?
Yeah.
John's a poet as well, of course, and Michael is not a poet. What do you think, Michael? Michael's in the background there.
Yeah. I'm under the table.
Under the table.
Already.
And we only have coffee before we come here, which is an added inducement to come and get coffee before we start, as we do. So to come a bit before 11 and get a nice cup of coffee. All from the Uniting Church for Nothing. Michael, your criticism, please.
Yes. Well, it's captured a moment.
It's easier.
Come on, Michael, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, it's captured an incident, a moment.
An incident indeed.
And so was this man the public servant who gave him?
He is a public servant, a servant of the public. But it was done with great humour. There was no ill feeling on either side.
Right.
Rudy was pleased to get his money, and Stephen gave him a bit of criticism, very harsh criticism, but with a twinkle in his eye. So it was done humorously. It wasn't.
Did he rip the paper or?
Yes, he just took it, and then he took another. He took two, and $2 a sheet, and he just tore it up with a twinkle in his eye, as I say. And it was an interesting example of criticism in action in the street. And Rudy does write quite bold sort of poetry, I suppose you could say, with a religious theme, and it's not what I would call high poetry, but I'd say it would be poetry that poetry of the people.
Yeah.
Michael, just give us your thoughts and criticisms, please.
Yes. Well, it's it's like it's it's sort of
It's a bit funny in a way.
yes.
It's got a double-edged sort of.
Yes, it's about poetry, of course.
It's about poetry. It's about criticism of poetry. very firm and well-meant and humorous criticism. But it may seem as if the criticism might have been a bit harsh.
It was like a performance, wasn't it?
It was a performance,
You get a poem, you rip it up, you pay some
And you pay for it. No, I think poets like being paid.
You read it very well too.
Oh, thank you, Maureen. No, I enjoyed writing it because it just happened a few hours earlier, and I thought that Stephen, who's a writer himself and a good man, but interestingly enough, Rudy left after that, but a smile on his face. He did. He didn't mind it. He got the money, and I think that says a lot. That people who write material are very, sometimes, and I suppose this goes for all of us, more pleased to get a nice fat cheque in the mail than a very fulsome criticism. So, Michael, more thoughts, please, because you're good at criticising. You think it can's all right?
Yes, it's like you've got the talkers, stalkers, angry souls, this rhythm to the line. Ask for coin in small and large, but never it needs.
It's jolly, it's meant to be jolly.
It tries to write and we paid and read and read. We paid and read and then ripped and railed. It's got that.
Yeah.
Rhythm.
Yeah. It's meant to be a bit like banjo stuff. Not in any sense. It's very high serious, but friendly, happy, and I hope contribute a bit to the Civic scene, because Rudy has been in Civic now for, I'd say, about 40 years. 30 years anyway. He's a part of Canberra's cultural scene. He's not in the poetry group. He can sometimes get a bit impatient, shall we say, but he's stuck with his poems. He writes them and he just rebits them, and people pay for them. So you get, it's not grant given the poetry, it's from the people to the people, and whatever one thinks of the poetry. Michael, more criticisms from you, because you're good at criticisms.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. It's just got that rhythm,
It's not a great poem, it's not meant to be, but not meant to say anything, but it's just the way. Maureen, you have a poem there you might like to recite.
Yes, well, unfortunately, I described it as I was racing out the door, and it was written a long time ago when I was suffering severely from depression, and it describes depression in the way I see it. What is the precipice? What is this black mist that rises from the earth and twists itself into my mind, taking a clammy hold, forcing itself to stay and envelop me with its will? What is this black mist that coerces me into self-destruction, robbing me of my will? Better to run from it to where I'm out of its reach. What is the precipice of exhaustion on which I stand? A crowd pushing me on, a fence holding me back. What if I should fall over the fence? Would my soul fly and glide? Would it return when the crowd had gone? Or would it fall like lead and crash through sharp branches of trees onto rocks? What would happen if I fell into the abyss? Would I find peace, or would I find untold hell? What is over the cliff? What is this rage within me, building up and bursting into life like a firebomb, wrecking everything in sight, stopping nothing but life itself? So small a spark, so mighty a flame, what is this within me? Yet it is all so silly, how could this happen to me? And yet it does.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think that's a very...
It's pretty touching.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty strong about depression.
You're sort of expressing your anxieties, aren't you?
I think more than that.
Yeah, well,
Very deep.
And trying to look into the future.
I think that's the impression I get, that it's not a pessimistic poem. I mean, it's pessimistic in the content, certainly, but you're reaching out for something more than that. We all get depressed.
Yeah.
We all feel like that. It's
And from it, you can tell you're trying to get yourself out of that depression.
yeah, I didn't.
But your depression is clinical depression, which is a bit different too. everyday depression, which everybody gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're still trying to get out of it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to get yourself out of the whole situation.
Yes, the way you use words is very interesting. When you were writing the poem, were you conscious of sort of using themes, words, sentences, stuff like that? Or did it come out in a subliminally sort of?
Just happened.
Yeah. It comes down in lines, it's just, every line is a question. What will that, what will that, and
Yeah,
so
questions,
that
questions. Yeah, rhythms. The rhythm
rhythm.
with questions without rhyming necessarily as mine.
Yeah, I don't think I rhymed, did I?
Well, if you did, it was unconscious, but it has a rhythmic quality about it. I think that's what Michael's saying. What do you think, John?
Well, when you're rhyming, the words don't actually have to rhyme, just as long as it's got the rhythm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rhythm can be often more effective than rhyme.
Yes.
Yeah, much more. Rhyme can be a little bit tump.
It's a bit boring.
It does get a bit boring. If you go on too long, it's boring. And it's my.
But as long as it's got the rhythm, then
yeah, the rhythm can.
the words don't have to rhyme.
Yeah, it was much longer than mine. It was about twice, 3 times as long as mine. But it was listenable too, because you got the sense of a precipice, you got the sense of people on the edge, you on the edge, many people on the edge. I mean, this is just read this morning's budget, everybody. 11th of May. I mean, we're on the precipice, folks. And this is where poetry can sometimes cheer you up a bit. John, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree with you there, Bill. I liked it actually. Yeah.
I did too. Yeah. Did you like it, Michael?
Yeah.
In the corner there? That critic in the corner? You liked it?
Yeah, well, I think if we can present mental illness to people and who don't have it, and gives them a picture of what it's like, then they'll be more sympathetic and less judgmental.
I think that's right. Well, the budget did put more money into mental health, so I suppose that's maybe some poets in the government. I don't know whether Julia writes poetry or Swan does. I'm glad if I know, but I mean.
No, Swan doesn't.
I don't think so. No, he's not a poetic looking bloke.
Numbers.
Numbers man.
He's the numbers man.
Yeah. So, when did you write it? Is it some years ago or just recently? Yeah. Has it been published?
No.
It could be published. Everybody out there, if you want to publish it, get in touch with.
Yeah, I suppose who will I get in touch with?
Well, I suppose get in touch with Uncle Bill. And I'll pass it on to you. I'll give my telephone number 62394727 at home, and I'll just sort of pass the message on, because I think Michael would possibly agree that it's good to get not only heard in a group, and of course thanks to John, on not Facebook, it's YouTube. It's on YouTube, everybody. So this is a public.
2394727.
That's right. Yeah. So we'll get people who are interested, and if you can give me a copy, I'll pass it on to Ginninderra Press.
I didn't really have a copy.
Just give it to me when you can, and I'll pass it on to Ginninderra Press.
I'll get someone to.
Yeah, copy it, because I think it's important.
I haven't got a copy out all my poems because I put them in a book form, but I'm too lazy.
Oh, well, when you get the spirit, do it.
Join the club.
John, you got a poem there too.
Yeah, I just wrote it actually.
It's an instant poem.
Yeah, well, it came from listening to your poem then, Bill.
Okay.
The street is where we meet many a soul, the good, the bad, the ugly, some with a home, some with nothing. Many a performer there be, street performance of many a kind. Look upon the street, for there we find street performance of many a kind.
Excellent. What do you think, Maureen?
Yeah, I thought that was really good.
Well, that's just an
Instant reaction to a poem, and I feel very, very honoured to have that sort of reaction. And that's, I think, the other thing about poetry too. It's not necessarily meant to be in the academic sphere only.
No, not at all.
No.
It's people can do it, and ordinary people can.
Oh yeah, some of the best poets are just drawn.
Yeah, Banjo Patterson, Henry Lawson, a man in the streets.
Yeah,
Had trouble with the drink, didn't she? Dorothy McKellar didn't, I don't
No,
think. But she wrote poetry as she felt, my
And
country.
it was easy to understand. That's
And
what
it'd
I
be nice
found.
on on YouTube if we get hold of Dorothy McKellar's reading her own poem, My Country. Beautiful, beautiful. As an older person reading this poem she'd written some years earlier, and Dame Mary Gilmore, another one I was listening to the other day. Marvellous. Old Botany Bay about Sydney. Marvellous, marvellous. Two elderly people my age in their 70s, but still very active, as indeed I am, I hope to be, and reading their own stuff. You can listen to this, folks, if you get in touch with Uncle Bill.
What I try to do is to make it a picture, a word picture. It's easy to see, easy to understand. Like most poets these days write things that are very obscure.
Indeed they do. Indeed
they allude to things that you're not sure what they're talking about.
Because some of the best poetry is, just basic, so you can actually picture what's being said. So anyone can listen to it and know what it's about.
Straight off.
Yeah.
I think if people do write poetry that is a bit obscure, it'd be good for them and good for their audience if they came to groups like this and read it and then explained it, because some people, as we know, are rather complicated creatures, leading rather complicated lives, and it'd be nice. But I think to do more than just put it on a printed page, to explain it. But when you wrote this some years ago, you'd like to get it published, you'd like to get all your other poems published. Well, we'll see what we can do through the medium of the YouTube, which we're on at the moment, Michael. Michael, where are you? Comment from you, please.
Yes, I thought had that bit of a rhyme at the end, the last 3 lines there. Of John's poem.
Of John's poem, yeah. Read the last lines again, so we can.
I'll read the whole thing again.
Yeah, please do.
The street is where we meet many a soul, the good, the bad, the ugly, some with a home, some with nothing. Many a performer there be, street performance of many a kind. Look upon the street, for there we find street performers of many a kind.
Kind find, yes, that's Michael's point. Did you like those rhymes, Michael?
Yes. Yeah.
It does help to have a bit of rhyme, I think, or rhythm. If you don't have rhyme, have a bit of rhythm. Because
you can do both.
If you don't repeat something, it gives it a poetic feel. You repeat a line,
Oh yeah, I did repeat a line of many a kind.
did you repeat? Yeah, no, that's okay. It doesn't matter. Repetition's part of poetry.
That gives it the feeling of a song,
Yeah.
Now, do you like song poetry, Michael?
Because it's more of the sound, it's not just the words. You want to make it
singing.
You want like the sound of it, of the words, the rhythm of the words and so on.
I think it's important to do all these things. I have, sorry to burden you all with all this, but I've got one. If I can distribute it to you all, I'd like to read, if I get the permission from the group.
Yes.
For you and for Maureen, and if you could pass one to the young man who's in the
Background,
under
the table.
Under the table, yes, Michael.
The voice in the wilderness.
The voice in the wilderness.
Thank you very much, Maureen. Thank you. Were you feeling cold this morning, Maureen?
Cold?
Yes.
Oh, no, I was hot. I was really blown away.
You look like you've rubbed up a bit.
No, you look, despite this budget day, you look very happy, which is nice. And, I think most people are a bit worried about getting their taxes raised.
It doesn't really worry me.
Good on you, John.
Yeah, very sorry for the...
You're a very good man, John. I like that attitude. Well, this poem is called, based on an article in the Sunday, is it called, Michael? You know, all the print. Sunday Canberra Times of May.
8th of May.
8th of May. Last Sunday, in other words. And it was about a statue in the suburb of Hughes.
Oh, that's
Spray.
That's right where I live.
Well, there we go.
It's across the road from where my studio
There we
is.
go. The pink lady. She was pinked. And
It's the
somebody-
second time it's been done, actually.
Interesting. Did they use the pink colour any
Yeah.
earlier time? Well, that's very interesting.
And no doubt it will get done again once they clean it off. Pink again.
Well,
I
that's,
think. No, I won't even go into
no, that's very, very interesting. Have you any suspicions who the culprit might be?
It's only happened since these people have moved in downstairs, and I think there's a couple of lesbians that live there.
Well, they may
I'm not
have...
saying that it's anything to do with
but
them.
look, whoever did it, I think, did a very good deed. They provoked me to a harm. And this lady, the stone lady, the bronze lady, probably, I think she's improved by being pinked, quite frankly. So the citizens of Hughes ought to just accept the pink and leave it as such instead of cleaning it up. But that's just a personal view. But I'll read the poem anyway, because it's called Deathless War in Suburbia.
Actually, I'm going to go.
Okay a minute. Oh, wait. Well, I'll read it and then we can discuss it. That's it, folks. Yes, John is giving you the details. The Sunday Canberra Times of the 8th of May this year. 20, what is it, May 20?
It was Sunday,
2011.
May 8th, Sunday.
Okay, 2011. Sorry, Maureen.
You see that little dog on,
Thanks, John.
on YouTube, there was this little dog doing all housework.
Oh, that's interesting. If dogs can do housework,
It
I
was
suppose cats
loading
can.
the dryer and closing the door. I mean, loading.
You could write a poem about
So does
that.
that mean I have to do housework too? Yeah.
Dog to buy housework. Anyway, look,
Must be
it's...
trained.
Yeah, I think dogs can be very cute little creatures when they do housework. They can pay their way, can't they? They put the old goggles on again, goggles. Anyway, it's shorty. It's rhythmic and rhyming, I hope, and it's about this unfortunate woman. And I've made a historical reference to a former Prime Minister of Australia who was a bit of a brute. Billy Hughes was no angel, as those of us who can remember him. I remember he was a pretty vindictive sort of bloke. So I've made it a sort of fanciful thing so that the painter isn't necessarily a couple of women who are trying to improve the statue. It might be somebody who's dead who's doing it.
Could be anyone.
It could be anyone. It could be anyone living or dead. But I think the chance of a dead person doing it's pretty remote. But it's fanciful.
But you never know, it might be someone's ghost.
That's right. Well, the ghost of Billy Hughes, maybe I suggest in the poem, may have pinked the lady. Here goes. The people of Hughes have respectable views and live in a nice liberal centre. I don't know, you probably got it later, probably exceptional, but I think it's basically fairly liberal something. They got in the news when a person unknown and bold painted a bronze lady pink. Stepping Out, that's the name of the statue, was unveiled. As last century paled, the late 1900s, a picture of fussed early 50s. The 1950s, a very dull period. Remember, when Billy Hughes died, he died in 1952, to many dry eyes as he had done some nasty Swifties. From his brass bas-relief, because Billy Hughes is on the other side of the Hughes shops, in the community centre, a pale brick wall, Billy, that's where his little bas-relief is, a little flat statue, Billy's spleen still aims to kink, via pinking not only live critics, but also a statue dissenter. There you go. So, Billy Hughes might be the top.
Yeah, I might have been him. It definitely wasn't me.
No, and I don't think it was Michael.
I think the rhymes are really interesting. You've got number 1 line rhyming with number 6, centre and the centre.
Yep,
Then you've got number 2 rhyming with number 5, pink and kink.
yep.
Then you've got number 3 rhyming with number 4, early 50s, some nasty sweeties.
Michael, you're very astute.
That's so interesting.
That's very good criticism. Yeah. It's meant deliberate, yeah.
And you've got lots of other rhymes in between, like Stepping Out was unveiled as last century paled,
Mm-hmm.
and some other ones, yeah, similar ones like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I don't want to overdo it, but yes, you could.
The people of views have respectful views.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like it.
yeah.
Well, not all of us.
No, exceptionally.
There's a few eccentrics.
There are a few eccentrics and a few people who like spraying statues, and whoever did it, I think ought to be given a medal, quite frankly, because I think it makes the lady look a lot better, as was shown by John on the YouTube.
I didn't even know it was in the paper. So.
Yeah, it was in the Sunday paper, and it just got me. I mean, it's yeah, please, yeah, pass it around. The Canberra Sunday Times is a very dull paper, I must say.
Oh, yeah.
It's the
It's
paper,
rather a nice pink.
and it's and this bit just got me as I was.
Yeah.
Have you seen it, Mark?
I saw another statue where, where the merry-go-round is, you know, like in that like Petrie Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
They've got this thing going up the steps. There used to be four men with big bellies reading a book.
Yes, I remember that.
And the first thing happened a couple of years ago. I think the very top one was taken away. And then I noticed the other day that the second one had also got taken away, I think. And one of them had a really good-looking hat on, like the ones you wear in Peru, you know, the ones that got the ears over, you know, the llama hats or whatever, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it looked really good actually with that hat. It sort of improved, it gave a bit of colour.
But he's been handed and borrowed too, has he?
I assume someone's nicked it by now because it wasn't stuck on or anything. But
Well, this is one thing about Civic. You can see a lot of borrowings happening if you closely observe. They're everywhere.
I thought someone had a sense of humour, and at least they didn't destroy the statue and just put a hat on.
Yeah, well, that's adding a hat to it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's artistic in itself.
Yeah, that's a poetic little gesture, and it's interesting to write poems about statues sometimes because they're and the kids love statues, and they love particularly the birds, the one before the fat man that Jan Brown, wonderful sculptor, did recently, and the birds are all over the place. I've written a poem about that too. It's a bit like Canberra being all over the place. It's particularly so during budget time. And just listened to Julia's performance on the radio. Very, very interesting. But yeah, I enjoyed writing that one, and it came as often with me. And I'd like to get other people's views. What makes you write poetry, Maureen?
Oh, feeling I want to express and
Expressing your concerns.
yeah, and I just sort of tap into a creative power.
That's good. It is a power, isn't it?
Yeah, something, I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden the words are coming and away you go.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, well, it's how I write. I write poetry.
Yeah, good idea.
Well,
instant poetry.
Yeah, even like when I try and write a diary, it turns into a poem.
Oh, good for you. Yeah.
Like when I've tried it before to write what I did one day, and the whole thing just turned into one big poem.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, I think a diary is a poem, and many people do. Even when I was a kid, that's years ago, poetry was regarded as rather sissy, to use that old term that nobody uses now, and only for girls, sort of thing. Boys don't write poetry. But now it's not the case. I think there's too many men writing poetry, not enough women.
Well, also I think hip hop has had a big involved with that. You know, that's been really cool now. It's considered, you know, to rap. Yeah.
I started writing poetry at 13 and my parents and grandparents thought I was a genius. They were expecting fame and fortune.
Well, it's one thing poets don't get, I think.
Oh no.
They get the fame sometimes.
Eminem's made a bit of money.
Or in fame.
In fame, but unless it's hip hop or
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Eminem's made a bit of money.
Yeah, but the music gets
But
the concert.
so that's from the producer that's made that.
The record company.
Yeah, the record company that does that.
Yeah, I think there's music added to poetry can enhance it, and certainly if you get rockers and knockers and rockers, I think go together. That you're people who knock things and criticise things quite rightly, and also if they're young and very active, because it seems to me when you're on the stage doing
Things like this.
yeah, that's it. Yep, exactly so. And you're a musician. So you know the feel of being behind the in
drum
front of
kit.
the audience, drumming, and the audience getting all this ecstatic. Because it's a bit religious, isn't it? I mean, in the olden days, the gods used, the priests used to do a performance, and in the Catholic Church they still do a bit, but it's pretty dull compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, I tend to like religious poetry.
Some music
Not religious, spiritual.
Spiritual.
Yeah, spiritual, it's a better way of putting it.
I think spiritual is in all of us, and you don't have to be religious to be spiritual, I don't think.
No, well, I
Just some people tend to put that out more than others.
Yeah, project themselves.
I think people get in a bit of a trance, spiritual trance, maybe, well, like the rapping or chanting or even techno has that trance, chant sort of thing. They go for hours like that, you know. Just
Yes, it can get them into a trance. And that was, I suppose, where poetry started as a sort of a way of, and it still is in African countries, in Asian countries, it's still got that sort of repetition, musical repetition, where you can get into an ecstatic state and see visions.
Yeah.
And many of the saints in the church, well, not necessarily in the church, but many saints have, of course, got themselves into ecstasy by music, by repetition.
I wonder whether the people that do the Gregorian chants, do they get things popping in their head while they're doing that?
It's a dull sort of chant, isn't it, really? But now it's regarded as a bit dull.
Gregorian, that's the thing Catholics do.
Well, yeah, one of the popes
More than
decided.
1,000 years old.
Well, it is, and it went out of fashion, and then one of the Pius the 11th, I think it was, brought it back. And religious services, which used to be very vibrant until 1906, when the Pope brought it back, began to get dull again with the Gregorian.
Look at the gospel, the black gospel choirs in America now.
The ladies
really,
with black
they
limb
really
gloves.
get to a trance, yeah, when they.
That's true. So you, sorry, Laura.
No, no, people get high on religion.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I mean, you go the way
Well, and very good people are the Quakers. I think they've got a
They're
social conscience.
wonderful
Yeah,
people,
indeed
but-
they have.
What about the Shakers? They would dance.
In America,
Yeah, you know the ones that
Some of
make
the
the furniture.
Shakers.
they're a sort of dancing.
And they used to stand on the floor or something, all in unison.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they're services.
shaker music is lovely.
They're dying out because they're not allowed to reproduce. So
Reproduce themselves or their music.
they don't have children. So
Well,
It's a useful.
they're reducing. You're going right down to England.
So
Doesn't make sense.
save the population explosion.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, this is interesting. And, I've done 3 today. I've been very prolific today. I don't quite know why. Why is one prolific? I suppose if you don't have children, you write
I
poems.
was inspired when you.
There we go. One for Michael, if that's okay.
Oh,
Michael,
okay.
the one for you.
Thank you.
We'll just have enough time to
Thanks a lot, Maureen.
have another one. It's called a Canberra 12-step. A bit more ambitious and a little more pretentious, I think, than some of my poems. It leads up to a conclusion. 12-step is the 2-step, of course, we know with music and dancing. It's 2 steps. Is there a 3-step, 4-step, 5-step? But it's.
If you say so, Uncle Bill.
Yeah, well, Uncle Bill could be up the path on that one. I don't know. I better put my glasses on before I do it. But this is 12 steps to something or other, poetically, and it's to do with a lot of things, which I hope might become a little clearer. It's a historical poem again, and it has a conclusion, which I've also put in an earlier poem Michael might remember, about Uluru. William Bereda and I had a plan to do a play on Lake George, which I got a little bit sick of. I think William never gets sick of anything, it's probably in his head and it'll come out a bit later. But I found it rather dull because I found Lake George very dull. I couldn't get much inspiration out of Lake George.
He's always reworking things, so
Yeah.
it takes a few years.
Well, if it does, good luck to him, because people say there's mystery in Lake George. I just find it a dull stretch of water, quite honestly.
Quite often there is no water.
Where often there is no water, indeed. The fact that water comes sometimes and doesn't, to me, is miraculous so much as a sort of feat of nature that can work, and maybe it does work. But anyway, I in the play, we worked it out, Maureen, you were with us when we were doing the play, you remember, that I decided that the only salvation for Canberra isn't to go to Lake George. I think that's even duller than Canberra. But Uluru, I think, would be much more lively for everybody to move to as the capital of Australia, which is the conclusion we come to after this somewhat long-winded poem of 12 lines, which has rhythms in it, I think, Michael. You've got your copy there, haven't you? You can look at it. You're very good. You got your copy, did you? Everybody got a copy?
Yeah.
What's a copy?
Got a copy? Called the Canberra 12-step, 12 lines, I suppose, is it? 12-step, well, 2-step we all know about, but it's a sort of funny little dance you do. 3-step, 4-step. There's also a musical term, which I won't go into. Anyway, here goes. Civic's Canberra Centre once had a new mall of commerce, all aglow in the early days of Canberra. It was a great thing. Prince Bernard and what's going to the Netherlands, the other one, Juliana came, and the mall was fab. First mall in Canberra, everybody was there, it was wonderful. About 1960 something.
Monero Mall?
No, a big shopping mall.
Was it called Monero Mall?
No, I don't know what it was called, but it was a shopping mall.
Yeah, David Johnson.
Where the Canberra Centre, the first Canberra.
Yeah, that was Monero Mall, David Johnson.
Is that what they called it? Thank you, Michael. That historical name, I didn't even realise it because it wasn't here then. But it's true, it was there. Anyway, Civic's Canberra Centre once had a new mall of commerce all aglow. Everybody loves it. 50 years back on Menzies Track, far less were jobs bereft. Everybody had a job. Or nearly everybody. Savings Australians mostly had. They put their money in the bank and it was there instead of credit. And practised fiscal thrift. In other words, nobody got into debt, or very few, except the big ones, which changed when easy credit and loan money to Oz flew. The Americans gave us a lot of money under Mr. Menzies. When Whitlam came, this didn't change, and Canberra had a spree, such as a population spurt. Went from 100,000 to 200,000. And new squares and other worlds, while Labourites and hippies had fests and plots and burls. Burl being a sort of a punt on something, I think. While Labourites and which came undone when Kerr's coup, brought on a furious money fight. Things in Australia for once were very lively in 1975. It was fun. We have the same atmosphere, it'd be terrific. Timor fought the Javanese while Oz was less big. While Oz, something less, became inclined to US orders. That's what I'm trying to get. It's a bit complicated. I'll fix it later. Now Canberra's dystopian. Utopia, the reverse of utopia. It's a dull bloody place. A men's milk cow. Somebody's making a lot of money out of Canberra, it isn't us. Perhaps the centre's Uluru with new visions now in view, with the big statue of Lionel Rose up there, I suggest, to work towards white, black and settler concord in a brighter nation. There you go.
Never seen milk spelt like that.
No, it's a funny word.
Well, no,
You've got to go.
No, I'm coming back.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, people often talk about
where it was going.
Yeah.
yes, the people refer to a milk cow
Milk cow.
being something financial.
Yes.
You know? And it's a German word for milk.
In other words, providing money to a few,
Would it just be
milking the
German?
people. Yeah.
Would it just be
German
German,
word, yeah.
or would there be a Jewish connection as well? Or?
No.
Often when you get a German word, it sort of comes through the Jewish connection.
Well, I don't don't think so. I didn't mean it that way. No, I mean, there are rich people, and some of them may well be Jews, some of them are Catholics, some of them are Protestants, but no, it's just people at the top who make a lot of money, while we at the bottom are struggling, I suppose you could say, yeah.
Yes, it's,
So I suppose
it's not
it's a historical.
It's got a historical link to it.
yeah, milk cow's like another way of saying a nice little earner or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for people who've got enough
Pot
anyway.
of gold.
Yeah. Quite so. It's investments, I suppose.
The gift that
Having
keeps
a
on
pump.
giving, because you know, it's the milk you milk from the cow.
You milk the cow, yeah. Poor old cow gets a little bit thin on the.
I like the sort of lots of rhymes in the sentences, you know.
Yeah.
Let's see now. 50 years back on Menzies track, and then savings, Australians. So that's a little rhyme there.
Yeah.
English Australians, and yes, wait a moment. Wait, 670 the Whitman County. Other worlds. Well, over here. Plots and bells. Yeah, I like the wild lights and hippies had fests and plots and bells. Good little rhythm there. Kind of that. Fine to use orders. Yeah, so with the line here where you say Timor fought the Javanese.
Yep.
Were you tending to have one or the other, like Timor fought the Japanese while Oz was less inclined to US orders, or Timor fought the Japanese while Oz
yeah,
was...
no, as the Timorese fought their battle and they won, they kicked out the Javanese, and in a sense they kicked out the capitalists as well, although they're coming back.
But did you want either or of was less or became less? Or did you want both?
No, it was either or. Both were happening at once, I
Well,
suppose.
was less.
Became less inclined to US orders. In other words, we told the Yanks where to go, or at least Whitlam did, and of course he paid for it. And he was thinking of closing Pine Gap, but it didn't work that way.
But did you want both in there? Was
Yes,
less and
yeah,
became
both happening at the same time.
Right.
Timorese were fighting and the
Yes.
Australians were fighting for independence, Australian independence.
No, yeah, I'm talking about the 4 words.
Yeah.
Was less, became less. Did you want 4 words there or just 2 words?
No, that's how it's meant to be. Timor fought the Javanese while Oz was less. Became less inclined.
Became less. I think there's an extra word that shouldn't be there.
Because you
Became
might
less
start off saying was less and then
Yeah.
you changed it to became
Just
less.
the became
Yeah.
is meant to be down there in front of the less,
Yeah.
and that's meant to move to
Yeah.
It flows better, I think. with
I think
just-
cut out the was and the less.
Yeah.
But
And
it
then-
makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, but it's a
Well,
bit
Oz
cumbersome.
was
Thanks for
less.
that criticism.
Became less
But
inclined.
it stops the flow a bit if you have both there, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, Michael. So it's now
Already
Timor.
was.
Yeah, Timor fought the Javanese while Oz became less inclined to US orders. Yeah,
What about
How it is right there, that sounds more poetical actually than
What about the Vietnamese war? That
Timor
Yeah,
fought the
that's
Javanese while Oz was less, became less inclined to US orders.
Oz,
Was less,
was.
and then it just stops
Yeah,
at less,
okay.
and then because
was
less,
and
became less inclined.
So maybe put it was less inclined, eh? Cut out the became.
Yeah, whatever sounds
Timor
better.
fought the Javanese
Whatever
while
sounds better, yeah.
Oz was
Timor
less
fought the
inclined.
Javanese while Oz was less inclined to US orders. I mean, is that okay?
Yeah, either one of those, yeah.
Or you could say, well, Oz.
No, I was just saying with
No, that's
both of
good.
them in there, it sounds
It does.
poetical.
It's a bit, yeah, well,
More poetical.
yeah, which it's not meant to be.
You have to have
Meant
good
to be
comedy or something.
realistic.
But
No, it was less.
John, would you need a comedy or something to make it episode?
No, I don't think so.
fun?
No,
Was
I think
less
it flows.
became
Less
was
inclined.
less, became less
So that you
inclined.
really, because you don't.
No,
read
just
properly.
was less.
Yeah, you just need a comma in there, that's all.
Yeah, okay, well, Oz was. Oz was, you see, was a sort of thing.
Timor fought
Less
the Javanese
While
while
Oz
Ozzy
was
fought
less.
the
Well,
Viet.
Oz was less, oh, no.
Became
Oh,
less inclined.
no, that's bad.
It's just the punctuation that you haven't put in there.
Because the Vietnamese were fighting for their independence, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Um,
but we were in there.
We're in the wrong way, but that's another line I could have put in. I don't think it quite fits in. What I'm trying to get at is Australia.
Because Oz was less than US.
was less inclined to US orders. In other words, we told him X. Some of us told him X where to go. But
It's your
yes.
problem anyway, so it's up to you.
No. So what would you suggest, Maureen? Bring in the Vietnamese?
To bring in the Vietnam War.
You could. Yeah, but I should change the poem a bit. But I'll put that down anyway.
But see, if you put that in, that gives a full picture of what was going on, whereas with just the team.
Good point. John, what do you think? No, it's a good point. I could extend it to bring in the Vietnam War and Australia's, not Australia's participation, but the Vietnamese fighting for their independence.
As you say, Bill, it's a work in progress and you're...
It's very much a work in progress. No, thanks for the criticism. I think that's good. So, how do you feel, Michael?
I think it's great the way it's sort of track the changing moods in Australia.
Yeah.
You know, you've got the thing there where we started to get very bit lazy, and then you had the Singapore leader, Lee, saying, he was saying we just bludgers and like holidays.
I like it as you put it.
We take a lot of holidays.
Because
it's
more spontaneous.
Yeah, you're probably right.
We take a lot of holidays, he said, and then cities. But now the mood's changed. Well, we don't take enough holidays, man.
We don't take enough sickies.
We
should take more.
We work overtime. You know, we work overtime, and apparently we're saving.
Tell the boss where to go.
Bill, we're saving more apparently now.
Oh gosh, yes. The bosses are getting the money. We aren't getting.
So the consumer's not. There's not so many people buying things in the shops now.
But when the shops aren't making much, but the big retail firms are doing well. As you can see, everybody, we're getting very bolshy here. But I think, and we're getting a difference of opinion.
When I withdrew from Vietnam, that was against the Americans. The Americans it wasn't their idea to withdraw. No, well, the withdrawal
could go in. That's an interesting thing. No, it's good to have poetry where these criticisms come out, because one person's view doesn't include what John said, Maureen said, or indeed Michael said. And it's good at a group like this to have this little bit of argy-bargy. Debate, yeah. A little bit of debate does make a poem much better. And I think for poets generally it's a useful exercise if it can stimulate a discussion like that. What do you think, Michael?
Definitely.
And that's the purpose of our little group.
Put in your mind.
I think it's important with a group like this, which is on YouTube, for people to come along and extend the debate even, because I don't think you get a complete opinion agreement. I think often it gets people stimulated, maybe a bit cross. And your point about Australians withdraw from the Vietnam War is a good one. Withdraw from Vietnam War. That could well.
That's a very good poem, you know. Withdraw from Vietnam War.
Yes.
So we weren't taking crap from the US.
Absolutely, Maureen. Thank you very much.
But see, there's nothing wrong with the poem. Well, I just wanted a complete
extend
picture of what you were.
Yes.
That's a 4-word poem. Withdraw from Vietnam War.
Yeah. No, that's good. And in the words, it's not many more words, but it's a good thing. The Javanese are being fought by the Timorese.
Yeah.
They didn't win for many years, but they did eventually win. And and we were less inclined. I think the less inclined bit could be we could substitute the Australian withdraw from the American war or the US war. Yeah. I think that would make it a bit better. And to say, I'm a bit wimpy when it comes to some of the lines, was less inclined to take US orders. Well, why don't we say we withdrew from the Vietnam War? That's much more concrete, isn't it?
Yeah, well, when Whitlam got in, you know...
He withdrew, yeah. Indeed, it's a pro-Whitlam. If Mr Whitlam is looking at YouTube, good on you, Gough, keep going. But it was a very, very sunny period where things were changing and people got a sense that we were going into a new era. Michael would remember that.
Well, I think I do like the original, but if you wanted to add a line, you could put that there. But I kept the other, because it refers to an earlier mention of the USA, which was that we were spending a lot of money. It said, what did it say?
US money.
Which changed when easy credit and loan money to Oz flew. And it flew, where did it fly to? Probably to the USA.
Indeed.
We're buying all the USA products.
Yes, quite right. The US game.
The products we sell to Japan. But the ones we buy, they come from Canberra.
That's very true. And this, I think, it's very interesting, and I'm finding it very useful, because the wimpy bits, I think, can go. And even though they might sound all right, they're still a bit sort of vague. You know, if you can put a bit of purpose into it, it probably works. We're sort of reaching almost the end now, John. How are we going with our little? How many minutes have we got left? Oh, keep going.
I can film for 2 hours.
Oh, well, we won't. But look,
No, you don't have to.
You had a point, John,
I could put up
about the
2
poem.
hours.
You said you liked the way it was because it was a little more rhythmical. Would you like to talk about that a bit more? Because this is it's important that your views be heard. Because what you're saying is you're sort of backing me up as I originally had it.
Yeah, well, I just liked the way it was.
Yeah.
It just...
Rhythmic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Timor fought the Javanese while Oz was less, because Australia is less than America.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
In the world perspective, Australia is less than the US.
Yeah, true.
Timor fought the Javanese while Oz was less.
Inclined to.
Became less inclined to US orders.
Yeah. There's a sort of double.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Double
That's why I
entendre.
like that better, because it means more.
Fair enough,
if you
mate. No,
take it out.
that's good. So I
I'm not a poet, so what I would add would probably wouldn't be useful contribution.
Yeah.
But I sort of, if you want to try and put these ideas and add them to it, you could say like, Timor fought the Javanese while Oz was less.
Became less
Yes,
inclined.
yeah. I'll just say that again. Okay. Timor fought the Javanese while Oz was less. Due to a withdrawal from the Vietnam War, became less inclined to US orders. So you've got both in there, but you've got 2 lines.
Gives it a sort of a bit of a
You've got 2 lines.
So you can keep both.
You've got was less with the first line, and you've got became less with the second.
Okay.
Became less comes with a withdrawal from the Vietnam War.
So John's had what he's put in. Michael, just read out how you would like the last one.
Well, I put it sort of, it's like...
No, just to go slowly, we can do it.
So the one line, I would sort of make 2 lines.
No, just read it out as you
Okay, well this is the first line.
Timor fought the Javanese.
Timor fought the Javanese while Oz was less. That's the first bit, and here comes the second bit.
Yeah.
Due to withdrawal from the Vietnam War, became less inclined to US orders.
Okay.
So
withdraw.
So you're really just sticking in between the two.
Put another line.
Yeah, in between was less and became less, you put due to withdraw from the Vietnam War.
Okay, well that means the Canberra 12 step now becomes the Canberra 13
step. That's good. I like 13 step. That's better.
Otherwise, Bill, you could have
because the 12 step.
So we're adding another line.
Because there'll be a copyright issue with the 12 step program.
And there will be, because it's 12 step program. The 13 step.
Otherwise, you just
so
put
it's having a go at the 12 step program too.
Otherwise, you just put a comma there.
Even adds more to it.
Yes, right. Good.
I'll put something else in and make it a 14 step, because 13 is supposed to be unlucky.
To some people, not to me.
I think just take a punt. Yeah, take a punt. Be brave. Be Australians. Brave. Take on the US, take on the 13.
You could just put a comma there after was less, comma, due to the withdrawal from the Vietnam War, became less inclined.
Okay, Mark.
So you can keep that as a 1 line if you want.
But then you keep it as a 12 step, and there's copyright issues with 12 step.
Well, there's copyright issues. No, I think this is where people together looking at poetry everybody looking at this YouTube, please get a group together. And it doesn't matter how small or how big, but I think it's important that we talk about these
It's
things.
good that minds clash.
And it's good to have differences, because you can often resolve them. If you can't resolve them, you can go back and think about them and come up with the next meeting, which we will have, of course, in this lovely place next Wednesday. Sorry, Maureen.
Yeah, well, in putting minds together, you produce best things.
Yes.
One line going it alone.
Yes, here, yeah.
You've got to work as a team.
That's absolutely right, and I couldn't agree more, and I think everybody's contributed beautifully to this meeting that we had on the 11th of May, 2011, at the...
Okay,
At
that
the,
sounds.
yeah,
That
and
sounds
thank you,
like
John,
it.
and thank you to you
That's a wrap.
people. And we'll be back here next week, and we'll have a listen to it. Or listen to some of it anyway.
Yeah.
Because